We live in a society where people are so afraid of being called racist that they turn a blind eye to serious crimes and indeed problems. Grooming gangs are an issue in pretty much every major town and city in the UK. We know they exist, we know what tactics they use, we know that it's mostly men of Pakistani heritage or South Asian heritage, and we know that the victims are mostly young, working-class white girls. And yet nothing really happens. As far as I can tell, the tactics our police force uses to tackle grooming gangs is this: let them get away with it for years, eventually lock a few of them up for a couple of years, and then release them back into the same community they desecrated so they can bump into their victims at the shops. Oh, and of course, as well, if we're lucky, you and I, the taxpayer, we get to pay for their legal defence so they can avoid deportation. The independent inquiry into child sexual abuse literally acknowledged that the fear of stoking racial tensions got in the way of grooming gang investigations. The implication there, then, is that if the police are given a straight choice between not offending the Muslim community and saving the lives of vulnerable young white girls, they'll prioritise not offending the Muslim community. Well, I find that offensive, frankly. It's not the police's job to worry about the sensitivities of a particular community, is it? In fact, some people may argue that it's that particular community's job to do more to stop the grooming gang issue in the first place. But it isn't just grooming gangs, is it? And it isn't just the police. A new report from the Centre for Social Justice revealed that when victims of so-called honour abuse go to their GP, quite often the GP doesn't want to know. They're too afraid, yet again, of stoking racial tensions. And there's a theme here, isn't there? I will never understand why a jury of our peers found the group of white people who toppled a statue of Edward Colston and dragged it into a river not guilty of criminal damage. Look, I'm not saying that rampant slave trader Edward Colston should have had a statue in the first place, but I am saying that, in my opinion, tearing down a statue is definitely criminal damage. If I went outside right now and did exactly the same thing, I would be found guilty, wouldn't I? Surely, and rightly so. The only explanation that I can find for their not guilty verdict is that the jury was too afraid of the backlash. Here we go again. Too afraid of being called racist. Police taking the knee outside Downing Street. What on earth was that about? If the Black Lives Matter lot had been Liverpool fans, presumably they'd just been tear-gassed instead. But it isn't just race. No, not at all. It's the eco-mob as well. Insulate Britain, or insulate prison, as I call them, because that's where they all should be. They could shut off motorways, arterial routes through our capital, and that was just fine. People couldn't get to hospital. People died, actually. People couldn't get to work. Extinction Rebellion. They shut our capital city down and cost our economy billions of pounds. But we'll just let them crack on, will we? Why? Well, because we wouldn't want to be climate deniers now, would we? Even Stevie Wonder can see that it's a terrible idea to allow men who identify as women to go into female spaces, toilets, prisons, sporting events, etc. But we let it happen. Why? Because people don't want to be labelled transphobic. I'd rather be labelled a racist, transphobic climate denier than turn a blind eye to this absolute madness. Why? Because I'm confident that I'm on the right side of history, and I suspect that most of you watching this right now will be on the right side of history as well. Don't be scared to call out something when you think it's deeply wrong. After all, we keep being told that silence is violence, don't we?